This is the Locked On Jets podcast here on Thursday, October 10th, 2024. I'm your host, John B. from gangreennation.com, coming at you with a bonus episode because there is another shakeup on the New York Jets coaching staff. Interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich, addressing the media on Thursday, announced that there will be a new play caller when the Jets take the field Monday night against the Buffalo Bills for their Week 6 matchup. Nathaniel Hackett will no longer call plays. Now, he remains on the coaching staff. He keeps the title of offensive coordinator, but he's really offensive coordinator in title only now. He has been stripped of his play calling duties. Passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach Todd Downing will take over play calling starting Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. And I applaud this decision. This was the move I was calling for when Ulbrich ascended to the interim head coaching job 2 days ago. In fact, I said, if he makes this his first move, I approve of the Jeff Ulbrich era. And I have to say right now, I approve of the Jeff Ulbrich era. This is a move that should have been made far sooner. In fact, Woody Johnson, when he fired Robert Saleh, should have also fired Nathaniel Hackett. Woody Johnson was actually serious about fixing the offense. He should have done it himself. This never should have fallen to Ulbrich. Interestingly and ironically, Saleh's last active Jets head coach was to demote Hackett. He had decided reportedly to strip Hackett of his play calling duties and give them to Downing. And then 5 minutes later, he was fired. Well, Jeff Ulbrich took over 2 days ago when he spoke to the press. He did not commit because he had just taken the job. He probably had not had time to think about it. But after a couple of days of thinking about it, Todd Downing takes over as offensive coordinator. Thus ends the era of Nathaniel Hackett, one of the least creative offensive coordinators you'll ever see, one of the least imaginative offensive coordinators you'll ever see, and one of the least effective offensive coordinators you'll ever see. This move is long overdue. Hackett should have never returned to the team after the 2023 season. He never should have been hired. Let's be honest. His record was awful. The Jets had a bad offense in 2022, and Hackett organized one of the few offenses in the NFL that was worse than the 2022 Jets, the Denver Broncos, who finished last in the league in scoring that year. Now, the bad news is Todd Downing's taking over, and Downing was last an offensive coordinator for the Titans in 2022, and they also scored less than the Jets that season. I don't think anybody should be under any illusion that Todd Downing is going to magically fix this offense. This is, if anything, a marginal upgrade. But maybe Downing could be a little bit more effective situationally. Maybe he can use his personnel a little bit better and make some changes, maybe more carries for Braylon Allen because Breece Hall's not doing a lot right now. Maybe better use of formations. Look, Todd Downing's not a miracle worker. In fact, he's very unimaginative. A lot of the same criticisms Jets fans have of Nathaniel Hackett, Tennessee Titans fans had of Todd Downing the last time he was an offensive coordinator. But sometimes it gets so bad, and we saw this with the switch from Robert Saleh to Jeff Ulbrich. Sometimes it gets so bad that a change is necessary, even if just for the sake of change, because you feel like almost any move you make is likely to be an upgrade. It doesn't always pan out that way. And we're going to have plenty of complaints about Todd Downing, I'm sure. But at least the Jets have changed their play call. At least we don't have to watch Hackett call plays anymore. Ulbrich also announced that he is remaining the defensive coordinator of this team, which was interesting. I was expecting somebody else on the coaching staff to be elevated because Ulbrich has all these new responsibilities, and it's always a balance. Most head coaches ascend to the job from a coordinator spot, and part of the reason they get head coaching jobs is that they succeeded as coordinators. So the question is always, do I stay hands-on? Do I take a step back and focus more on my new responsibilities? Well, sometimes when you step back, you're taking away one of the best voices you have, either on the offensive or defensive side of the ball. If you're an offensive coordinator who became a head coach, you probably have a lot to offer on the offensive side of the ball. If you're a defensive coordinator who just became a head coach, you probably have a lot to offer on the defensive side of the ball. I think we can assume that Robert Saleh had some degree of sway over the Jets defense because he's an excellent defensive coach. So there were lots of reasons to get rid of Saleh. There were not many ways the Jets were going to be hurt by losing Saleh because he was not a good head coach. But one of the few areas where his departure may hurt the team is I'm sure he had a lot of input over the defense. So Ulbrich probably is thinking, you know what? If I step away from the defense, then we have no continuity. Saleh and Ulbrich were probably a team orchestrating this defense. So if Ulbrich's not hands-on, then it falls to everybody else. And you don't know whether the position coaches can step up. Now, there will be coaches on that side of the ball who will absolutely need to step up because, again, you're losing Saleh. And say what you will about Saleh. Saleh was an excellent architect of a defense. He was an excellent implementer. He was pretty much, everything we said bad about Nathaniel Hackett on offense, the opposite was true of Robert Saleh on defense. He was an excellent defensive coach. So, if you already losing Saleh, you don't want to take Ulbrich too far away from the defense, even though he's got all these new responsibilities to focus on. So Jeff Ulbrich will remain the defensive coordinator and play caller. It doesn't sound like there are going to be any formal promotions, but I'm sure there are going to be position coaches who are going to take on enhanced responsibilities because Saleh's gone. And look, Ulbrich will probably try and focus a lot on the defense, but he's going to be drawn in other directions now. He's not going to be able to do everything he used to do with this defense. So we'll see how well these other guys step up. Ahead on the Locked On Jets podcast, we'll turn our attention to the injury report. There was a piece of very good news for the Jets in an area where they've been hurting. It's the offensive line. They're going to get a player back this week. We'll talk about who it is and what it means for this team as we continue here on this special Thursday edition of Locked On Jets. This special edition of Locked On Jets is brought to you by Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how you use it. Step 1, drink pre-alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly. Pace yourself, hydrate, and get a good night's sleep. Step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use LockedOnNFL at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. This special episode of Locked On Jets is also brought to you by Game Time. You might want to head on out to MetLife Stadium on Monday night to cheer on the Jets and their new head coach against the Buffalo Bills. Game Time's the place to go to get in on the action. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. And Game Time filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And the best part about Game Time is you get the view from your seat. You can get a picture of what it's going to look like from your seat, so no surprises, no obstructed views. You'll know exactly what your view is going to look like using the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDONNFL, one word with no space, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. This is a special edition of Locked On Jets. It's our second episode of the day. It's that kind of week. When you fire your coach, you have a bunch of bonus episodes. If you're new to this podcast, it is a daily podcast covering the New York Jets, and we have new episodes each day through the week, Monday through Friday, and then bonus episodes during situations where there's breaking news or big stories surrounding the team, such as this. Jeff Ulbrich made some changes to the offensive coaching staff. Jeff Ulbrich, at his media availability on Thursday, also gave Jets fans some good news on the injury report. Morgan Moses will return to the lineup after missing a couple of games. It seemed like he was on track for this. Last week, he started practicing again. He did not accompany the team to London, but it felt like everything was building towards a return this week. And look, if you've watched this offensive line, you know that Olu Fashanu has tremendous potential, but he's clearly not ready. I mean, I've heard he's really struggling out there, and I've heard some people speculate, well, he's a left tackle, he's playing right tackle. It's not about the position. He's just not physically there. This is a young man who I think can be a very good tackle for this team. In fact, the Jets are going to be counting on him to be their long-term solution at left tackle. I think we all know Tyron Smith is a one-year rental. Everything was building for Fashanu to take over for Smith after this season. I think the hope was maybe he'd step into the lineup and play really well. And if he played well in place of Moses while Moses was out, he may not have left. Well, he hasn't really played that well. He's got to hit. I mean, I think it's clear he's got to hit the weight room this offseason because he's just getting thrown around. Morgan Moses has not played well early this season. To some degree, his play has been almost as shaky as Fashanu, but I still feel like you're better off getting the veteran in there. Maybe Morgan Moses had a little time to recuperate, some time to get fresh, and some time to step back into the lineup and play effectively. I think that even though Moses has not played well yet, the odds of the Jets getting quality play out of Morgan Moses are higher than they are of getting quality play out of Fashanu at this point. And I don't mean to disrespect Olu Fashanu. I love the pick when the Jets made it. I still think he could have a bright future in this league. It's just clear he's not ready. And that's not unusual for a rookie tackle. It's part of the reason it was a good thing the Jets got two veterans this offseason, because you don't want to have to throw the rookie into the lineup. Even guys who end up being really good players at the tackle position, even really high draft picks, tend to struggle in the early stages of their career. So Fashanu will go back to the bench. He can practice. He can work with Tyron Smith on the side and focus on getting ready for 2025. Other pieces of news on the injury report: Ulbrich indicated that Aaron Rodgers will be limited in practice, but is set to play. on Monday. I mean, I think we were all expecting that. I think we know that we're probably not going into a game with Rodgers at 100%. I think we know his mobility is going to be limited. And look, Rodgers' mobility wasn't great to begin with. He's probably going to have to play a lot from the pocket, even more than he's been doing. But no real surprise on that front. Ulbrich also indicated that Michael Carter II still sore back and hamstring. He missed the game against Minnesota, so apparently suffered an injury during pregame warmups. The Jets would love to get him back in the lineup. One of the top slot corners in the league was just rewarded with a new contract not that long ago. But we'll see how he progresses as the week goes on. Anyway, that's all for this special edition of Locked On Jets. Thank you so much for listening. And tune in tomorrow. We'll have our regularly scheduled Friday episode. We'll do our weekly mailbag. Normally, we do our weekly mailbags on Monday. This week, normally we do our weekly mailbags on Wednesday. This week, we had to push it back because we had to cover the Salah firing. But we'll get to our weekly mailbag tomorrow. So please send in your questions. Can't wait to answer them.